So, I would like to use the example of social media and talking to people towards the camera. Obviously, nobody around, so that's an extra funny subject. Um, well, actually, Muddy is around, my doggy. It's funny. But in general, it's quite interesting to talk to a camera as an exercise to not only establish a beautiful connection to yourself already first thing in the morning when you start talking. That's the beautiful alignment towards yourself, aligning yourself with your truth, aligning yourself with what you really want to set your intention forth, you know, to be fully aware what you actually want to manifest this day into the world. We can only control, I believe, I can only control what I bring to the world from day to day base as my own contribution. What God, universe, the outside world, society, whatever you want to call it, will bring from the other side, from the outside world, is totally not my business. Yes, was there a time where I wanted to control the outside world? For sure, for sure. I think it's very common. It's very normal to change the outside world, to avoid to actually change anything inside, but always try to change everything outside. Because our outward look is what we are taught from day one when we're born. And yet again, there's yesterday that crossed my mind the recognition about, being brought up. If you would be brought up by totally different people, different language, different society, you would have a different mindset. So it means your mindset is not solid. It's moldable. Neuroplasticity is very proven. Neuroplasticity is the most normal and common thing that they now start talking about it more and more. But it's the truth that was the first thing that awakening showed me, that whatever arose before my awakening was my normal life, like my upbringing, my childhood, the society around me, the people around me. Everything was exquisitely crafted to make my brain exactly the way it's supposed to be. So then I can go and mold the clay anew. So I have actually a different experience in life and not just the experience that I had as a child. Not because it was bad or wrong, but just because we are here for, let's say, 100 years. Let's put it whatever. I'll just put like a number, right? So, for example, the first 20, 30 years is just what we learned from childhood, what we learned from parents, what we learned from society. So, of course, then the others, you know, more than half of your life, you can finally then mold the clay, be your own true aligned identity, recognizing the pattern from your childhood, recognizing how harmless it is, even if maybe there was some trauma or pain consciously or unconsciously made, but truly it's what I have, been exposed to in my awakening journey. It's always completely included in the bigger picture. The bigger picture will be like, okay, this is what you had, but you later decided that you want a different experience. So that's why we got you in advance something to get out of your way in childhood, and then you can enjoy it maybe when you're adult, a total different story of your life. The only difference is when people don't choose the path of devotional seeking, and I truly believe it's still a choice, because I know that yes, the pain drew me into awakening. The pain drew me into changing my pattern. The pain drew me into being more aware and not blame, shame, guilt the outside world, but go within and just try to understand myself, you know. And it's very important to not then suddenly blame, shame, guilt your inside, because that's also a phase of the awakening, and that was hard. The biggest lesson what I learned there is to truly stay as neutral as possible during this phase, because um, the blame, shame, guilt internally is really hard as well, and to really feel it and not to avoid it, but also not to sink deeply into it, you know, to overindulge in pain is also a very common thing for people, I think. You know, first they avoid it for years and then they overindulge it. Same with anger, avoiding anger and suddenly exploding. It's a very common thing of humanity. If you're in any kind of way out of balance, there will be eventually an, you know, exhale of no, you have to be balanced again. So this will, you know, rattle your boat, shake you up a little bit to align you to a much more balanced lifestyle. And that's what life is here for, I believe. It's here to align us more and more. That's why everything is inherently love, because it always, you know, pushes us to certain places so we can actually be more happy and more aligned and more truthful to ourselves. But, you know, living in illusion, delusion, and lies, internal lies, not deliberately, but like unintentionally, can just create a lot of misalignment and misbeliefs, and it's a very common thing before the awakening, you know. So yeah, this is a beautiful suggestion from my point of view for myself and for others to, if they ever wanted to explore talking to a camera, talking out loud, it's like, why is she talking to herself? Well, actually, truth to be told, we're always talking to ourselves in the deepest form ever. Even if we're angry, even if we're upset, that's the truth, because we would usually talk to others how we would talk to ourselves. So, for example, I'm talking to the camera, but would I talk to myself the same way? Yes, of course. And that's why I'm saying, like, the morning alignment, talking to yourself, doesn't matter if you do it on camera, if you do it on the diary and you write it down. That's the first thing you touch base with yourself. You know, we're so used to touch base with other people. Like, even for me, I have a dog, right? So my first thing is usually very much common to touch base with him in the morning. To be like, oh my God, cutesy minutesy. And then the attention goes immediately outwards towards another object, or, you know, human, dog, whatever. But it's outside of myself. Yet talking to myself is something, or like even initiating a momentum of speech, right? Because that's what it is. Momentum of speech, of frequency. Yes, the words matter as well because they soothe the mind, because the mind is using language, the mind is using words. But my body is using frequency. So if I'm in the morning and initiate a frequency of my own internal dialogue, is it my alignment? No, my love. There's doggy passing by. It's fine. Is it my alignment? Yes. So that's back to the beginning question, like how can I use social media for my personal alignment? And like I said, you don't have to use social media, but for me, I noticed that that's like a really interesting tool to use. Madi, inside, sit, nine, nine, in, 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 nine, down, down, down. So, how do we use our internal dialogue to align ourselves? Not to get lost in this beautiful world, you know. Sometimes maybe do I sound sometimes like I don't enjoy the world? No, I do enjoy it. I actually get quite excited about people as well. Because when you change inside, the people change with you. Not to the same degree, but like quite significantly to be truthful. The bird, like a beautiful bird just came, okay, and flew away. So yeah, how like amazing is it to walk in your own frequency? And that's the truth. Like you wake up in the morning and and it's not going to, the attention is not going to a phone, a telly, news, a partner, kids, a dog, or anything for that matter, but it goes truly first thing to you to align yourself with yourself. And it goes to you where you actually initiate speech or writing, where you actually do something for yourself. That's like the true self care in my point of view. The true self care is something to do something for yourself, to show up for yourself, to show up for yourself not only in promised land, but truly in, you know, doing and being there for you. The intimacy of speech, the intimacy of setting the intention, the intimacy with yourself of being so close that you feel your breath, you feel your pulse, you feel your alignment truly vibrating inside of your body. As more we do it, as more we actually create this momentum of feeling ourselves and being so close that nothing in this world can shake us. Nothing. Even if it would rattle, but like nothing can shake us as we used to think before long time ago. So I think 6 years ago I was afraid of everything. I was afraid of a world that doesn't support me. I was afraid of a world and people that are always are up to no good, you know. And then I learned that it's the opposite because I learned that whatever I wanna create, the universe wants to please me. But I have to start from within. I have to set my tone for the day. I have to do something where the universe like, oh, she's taking complete responsibility and accountability for her internal state, and now I can match the outside world. And that's the beauty, you know. Sometimes in awakening, some people like fully rely on the universe to take care, and it's beautiful because that's the feminine. And because I think that before the awakening, there was so much detachment of doing it yourself. So most people then go completely the other way and completely rely on the universe. But I believe in balance. I believe that I have such a respect for the universe doing already everything in its powers to create a world for me that I will enjoy the most. So I at least can contribute with my internal intimacy, my internal dialogue, my internal caretaking of my nervous system, caretaking of my love, caretaking of my speech, the way I want to present myself, caretaking of my emotions, caretaking of my internal world, and of course external as well. Yet before, the external was so much more important, and then in a minute you don't have a good looking day, you feel destroyed. So now the internal is much more important to me, but the external is still very much a part of a beautiful alignment as well. You know, it's a balance of both. Just the priorities maybe shift. So, yeah, what a beautiful day to start with deep intimacy, with connection, with intentional conversation of dialogue with myself before I actually pay attention to others, to the world. Because you see, awakening doesn't mean you have to abandon the world, abandon your work, abandon your partner, abandon anything. No. It means you finally don't abandon yourself, first thing. It means you go back to playing exactly the same way with everything, but just this time you putting yourself first and not as an egoistical, demanding kind of way. Well, you can demand, but I mean, like, it's not from a place of um, force. It's from a place of connection. It's from a place of intimacy and respect towards yourself. It's from a place of, I'm not doing it even for to get ahead somewhere. I'm doing it so I'm finally not feeling alone in this world because I don't leave myself alone. You see, because I truly believe if we establish the cohesiveness, the intimacy with ourselves, with our own frequency, and we truly feel fully in trust and control that we can make ourselves feel the way we want to feel. You know, what a control, what a power is that, that I can decide how I want to feel. I can decide if I want to feel sad. I can decide if I want to feel scared. I can decide if I want to experience joy or bliss or any emotion or thought. I can choose. I can choose. I'm not at the mercy of exposure anymore, of external circumstances and conditions. It's unconditional. It's unconditional, and that's why it becomes much more joyous if I can still experience everything, but I can choose to experience it on my terms, the internal landscape. So that's the true connection, I believe, the true mastery of the internal world of relationship with yourself. There's no abandonment, there is no lack, there is no hopelessness and like, oh, I need to prepare for the bad days. There are no bad days. I can control them myself internally. Internally, there are days that I will control and choose. That's it. There is no other way than my way first. And then the outside world is here to please me and to be played with. I hope you enjoy. Peace out.